Hi, it's Pastor Amy, and I'm here with my weekly reflection on the reading for Sunday. When we meet Jesus and his disciples this week in Mark chapter 6, they've just returned from the task that Jesus gave them to go and heal and cast out demons wherever they go and to minister to the people that they meet. And they're utterly exhausted. They tell Jesus all the healings that they've done and the demons they cast out and the lessons that they taught. And Jesus realizes they need a break. And so he says, come away to a deserted place by ourselves. Let's just be together and share stories about about the work that we've done together. But this deserted place was not to be deserted for very long, because wherever they went, the crowds of people knew about all the things that they had done and the reputation that Jesus had been building. And so they rushed from every place and actually got there ahead of them. They were desperate to touch even the fringe of Jesus's garment, because they had faith that the power that he had would somehow heal them. And so they were desperate. They were seeking health care, seeking housing, seeking spiritual and physical well-being. The disciples were, as I just said, they were exhausted from having helped so many people already and by all the deep needs that they encountered as they went about. And the author tells us that Jesus, when he saw the crowds that had gathered there in front of him, had compassion on them, compassion on the people, because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So here's a pro tip for reading the Bible. If anyone ever tells you, well, this verse says that, God doesn't like this group of people, or, oh, this verse means this, you always have to look at the context around the passage. So it means that you have to look at what comes before and often what comes after. And so if we look at this passage with Jesus and the disciples, and we look at what comes before, we see that it is King Herod's banquet that he gives for his rich friends, and that turns quite gruesome. After his stepdaughter pleased him so much at the dinner by dancing for him and his guests, Herod offers her anything that she wants. He says, I'll even give you half of my kingdom. And so the girl goes and asks her mother to advise her on what to ask for. And her mother tells her to ask for the head of John the Baptist on a platter. And that's exactly what they get. One of the soldiers that was at the meal is sent to go retrieve the head of John the Baptist from where he sits in prison, and he brings it there right in the middle of the meal. And we're told that Herod has one sort of glimmer of conscience as he thinks, about John and how he liked to hear him talk, and so he knows what's right in this situation, but he acquiesces in order to save face in front of his guests and to not appear weak or to lose his power in front of these rich friends of his. In the Bible, the kings are talked about as shepherds of the people, that they are supposed to be good shepherds. But this king, Herod, who is supposed to be this shepherd, instead puts his own image and power before the needs of the people. And so it tells us something about, when Jesus is looking at this crowd of people, he knows that they are people who are lost, that they are like sheep without a shepherd. In our own time, we also find leaders who are abdicating their responsibility to put the people's needs ahead of their own interests. Everything has become a political game. And while the rich people are doing okay, the stakes are getting higher and higher for the masses of people that are just clamoring for basic needs. Healthcare, climate disasters, refugee crises, immigrants seeking asylum, wrongful imprisonment, mass shootings, police shootings. Compassion fatigue is real. The disciples knew it as they tried to just get one moment even to eat a meal together, and we know it as we look at all the things in our world that are going wrong, and all the needs of the people, all the crises that our world faces. And we feel the burden of that because we feel like we're already rushing from place to place in our own lives. We want so badly for the world to reflect a different way. But we also feel like sheep without a shepherd. We don't know what to do first or where to go first, how to make a difference in this world. Well, Jesus looks at us and looks at the crowds clamoring for someone who cares enough to reach out and touch these wounds that we have. And Jesus has compassion. Now, a note about the word compassion. It's really interesting in its meaning. Compassion means to suffer with. I know many people out there don't feel the need to be part of a church community. They don't understand how faith is meaningful in our modern world. They think about it as backward and constraining. But faith says that amid all of this crap in the world, God still acts. And that Jesus chooses to have compassion, to suffer with, not to judge at a distance, but to get in there, right in the thick of it, and be there with the most vulnerable. And that in a world where there is so much need, there are people who follow the one who did reach out and touch those who were sick and in need of healing and wholeness. Those he met along the way who presented themselves in their desperate hope that maybe this encounter would change something for them. And in some way, each of us is called to that work too. Not to manage the care of the whole world, but at least to be present to those we encounter along the way in our daily lives. Those who present themselves in deep need and in desperate hope that someone will care enough to reach out, to look at them and have compassion. These are my thoughts this week that I wanted to share with you. I hope that maybe this Sunday you'll be moved to join us in worship, to find a community where we try to practice compassion and mindfulness of the needs of others and share mutual love and remind each other that, when we feel the burden of the world pressing on us, there are others who can help share that burden. Thank you for listening this week. God's peace be with you.